Okay, hello again, and welcome to yet another Reaper Miniatures unboxing video. My last one was a huge success. It got almost 20 views. So here is another one. Because I decided that after having painted most of those miniatures, it's time to do some more. So here it is. A very quick turnaround on this. I ordered it April 2nd and received it today, April 7th. And sad news, it has sort of a weird gouge in the back, but on a cursory examination, it doesn't look like, well, hopefully nothing's missing. We'll find out comparing to the manifest, but let's get right into it. Now, somewhere around here I had my handy dandy X-Acto knife, and here it is. I was sitting on it. Great. So let's get started. And once again, that was from Reaper Miniatures, a miniatures producing factory, which I happen to like quite a lot. So here's our pillow packs. Here is what turns out to be a very important thing, the shipping manifest. And that's where we will compare and make sure that I got everything I was supposed to. Okay, so moving right along, first things first, we have one of 5 different preview minis. It interestingly does not have a name on it or anything like that, but it appears to be a dwarf cleric or possibly a dwarf paladin, and that's a lady. You can see this? Yep, there she is. That's pretty cool. And next thing, Cassie, Gnome Wizard. This one is one that I believe was the free one that I was able to select because of the amount that I paid for the rest of my order. And that's actually kind of exciting. I don't have any other gnome miniatures. I love wizards. So that was very exciting and unexpected. And of course, definitely could go for some more lady miniatures. So altogether, a very pleasing selection. Okay, and this one, interestingly, also a Reaper Bones 6, one of 5 different preview minis, sculpted by Bobby Jackson. And it is yet another lady, and she appears to be some sort of dungeon delver. She has a sword and outstretched a torch. So that is very, very cool. Okay. And this character right here, the entire reason, well, not the entire reason, but a strong reason why I decided to make another miniature order, Rask, male hairfolk. That's right. And he appears to be a rogue, most likely. He is doing like a finger gun. Love that. I just painted my female Harengon, who has the crossbow and everything like that. And so now she will have a buddy. Okay. And here is a guy who I think is so amazing. Got him for no reason except for that he is a dwarf riding a Shetland pony. Dwarf says battle mage. But, I mean, look at that. Who could say no to that? He's riding a pony. Little Sebastian, maybe? I don't know if anybody else is a fan of the show Parks and Rec. Okay. So, this guy is Jacob Nockengard, and the reason I selected him is because of his sort of Victorian garb, his sword, and his pistol. He reminds me of a character from the video game Bloodborne, so he looks like a Bloodborne guy. How cool is that? Okay, and next up, Moth Green. I decided I needed to stock up a little bit on my paints. And here's where I'm a little bit worried that gouge in the back of the package, I may have lost some of the paints because it was right about there that I found this bottle. So if I have 2 more bottles of paint in here somewhere, we're all good. If not, I'm going to have to be making some phone calls. Any hoodles. Next up, Thunderfoot Defender. Okay, so this is a Triceratops man with a giant bone club and a giant, looks like turtle shell shield. And that is so amazing, I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, just look at him. How majestic. Okay, okay. Great. So here's violet red. And blonde hair. Now, I've learned kind of how to make blonde hair just by mixing paints, but it's also just a nice sort of muted yellow color, kind of a brownish muted yellow, which is just a nice color to have in your repertoire. Now, just a quick word about these MSP Core Colors Master Series paint. That's what MSP stands for. This is the brand of paint that I most typically use. There are other good ones that you might choose, like Vallejo, for example, is a really great alternative to this. You can also, if you so choose, just use acrylic paints because it's pretty much the same thing. The only thing is acrylic paints tend to be thicker. Like if you buy like just your Walmart brand bottle of cheapo acrylic paint, they're typically a bit too thick, undiluted to use for miniature painting, and they don't come in the neat little dropper bottles, which makes so sure you don't waste a bunch of paint, which is also very much a good thing. All right, moving along. Okay, so this one I was really excited when I saw this. You can't really tell because of the way it's packaged, but these are Goblin Wolf Riders. They are goblins who ride wolves. Who could say no? Who could possibly say no to Goblin Wolf Riders? You can see these 2 rather burly wolves. The goblins obviously kind of hiding back there behind. So that's very exciting indeed. Okay. Next up, my other dinosaur man. This is Skywing Stormcaller, and he is some sort of dactyl type dinosaur, pterodactyl, pteranodon, I'm not really sure. Just based on the way he looks. But he has one of those cool swords with like the obsidian chips on like a wood paddle. I think they call it Makohedl. I don't know how to say it. But you see them all the time in video games. So yeah, one of those guys. And he is really gnarly looking, and I love him. Could be, say, like a druid, for example. He would make a very good druid, or even a fighter. I feel like he would be in cahoots with the Triceratops dinosaur. Maybe the players will find themselves shipwrecked on some sort of island of sentient dinosaurs and have to deal with the various problems that would arise from, culture shock, because obviously dinosaur culture is way different from mammalian evolved sentient sapient beings. But anywho, moving right along. Okay, now here is another really cool kind of graveyard denizen, a grave wraith. And so he is sort of like a robe-wearing specter holding this sort of sinister-looking sword. And as an added fun bonus, he comes with a bunch of little tombstones that are not directly connected to his base. See? And that'll be fun. Obviously, tombstones are just going to be like tombstone gray with a black wash. It's not really going to be much of a thing to paint or to make them look unique. But that is still very cool, and it could come in handy later on in a campaign. Say if I wanted to do some sort of gravestone-based puzzle, it would be nice to have a sort of physical prop for that. So that's fun. But otherwise, he's just a very cool, almost like boss-looking kind of enemy, mini-boss perhaps. Okay. Okay, this is fun. He's a really big guy. I love this sculpt. Love the faces. This is an Etten. An Etten being sort of a giant creature, usually depicted as having two heads, as you see here. He has got a his weapon is a giant club with an anvil roped to it, which is just on its face is hilarious. He's got a big keg here, which we assume is full of some kind of giant ale, and his belt is simply a heraldic shield. He is fantastic, and I love him so much. Okay. Can't wait to do him. Probably sooner rather than later. Okay. Next up, this guy is a dwarf cleric. His name is Fulumbar Ironhand. There we go. Recently, I have been able to play as a player character in a friend's campaign as we're learning a program called Fantasy Grounds Unity, sort of a tabletop RPG simulator. So obviously, being an online computer thing, I don't need a miniature because we're just like little tokens, on a map, which is a little sad to me because obviously I'm very much into miniatures and stuff like that. But having a lot of fun as a player character, and as usual, I get way too invested, which is why I bought a miniature for him. Just more or less for me to have some sort of visual reference to look back on. Okay. Alright, okay, this guy also great. He is a cave troll. He is ferociously ugly. He is using a very large jawbone, or rather half of one, for a club. And he is a rather rotund, sinister figure. There we go. Look at this guy. He is a real piece of work. I like him a lot. So as you can kind of see at this point, a big theme here for the miniatures I've purchased are monsters and especially giants. More on that later. Okay, and we're getting down to yay old nitty gritty. Okay, oof. So great. This is really, I think, more of a display piece rather than even a play piece, but this is Dragoth, and he is some sort of skull-headed knight in a richly appointed carven stone throne with a bunch of skeletons kind of sprinkled about, as well as just generally having a very much of a skeleton motif. He's a very skull guy. I mean, obviously, it's going to sound like Skeletor. Eternia will be mine, He-Man. Forget about it. Like, how cool. Couldn't say no to that guy. Obviously, no specific purpose for him, but he is just simply great. Okay, now this guy is a big box of pieces, but he is Skorg Ironskull Fire Giant. So he is obviously the third and final giant from this whole selection. He has a lot of very cool pieces, and you can't really tell, but he has a very fantastic sculpt as well. It looks like there is a face on the cod piece of his, waist belt thing, so that's kind of silly. Got a very much like a Viking sort of feel to him, obviously with a name like Skorg Ironskull, but so I really see him as being sort of a definitely a boss character for sure, more than any of the others. So I guess these players will be facing a lot of, giants, magic characters. It's going to be a pretty good variety of different things, monsters and magic and all that good stuff that makes Dungeons and Dragons really what it is. But sadly, we are now at the bottom of the box, but unsadly, that big gouge in the back of the box didn't damage anything unduly, and I did not lose anything. So all in all, I am very, very, very much satisfied with my selections today. And I hope that you enjoyed watching it as well. And if you care to see the intermittent videos that I may release in the future, go ahead and hit subscribe. Otherwise, also hit like because it makes me feel good inside. Thank you for watching. I love you.